When you're the son of the greatest basketball player of all time, the world expects you to soar just as high. But what happens when you can't, or don't want to, fill those legendary shoes? For 14-year-old Jaden Jordan, being Michael Jordan's son meant living with impossible expectations. When a video of his missed layup went viral, cruel comments flooded the internet. Like father, unlike son. The world laughed at the kid who couldn't live up to his famous last name. What nobody expected was Jaden's response. A message so honest, so vulnerable, that it didn't just silence the mockers. It started a movement. Jaden Jordan sat on the hard wooden bench, his legs swinging back and forth as he watched his teammates play. The squeaking of sneakers against the polished gym floor filled his ears. The scoreboard showed only 3 minutes left in the game, and Coach Miller still hadn't put him in. "Come on, Coach," Jaden whispered to himself. His Chicago Middle School Eagles were up by 15 points against the Lakeside Tigers. If there was ever a safe time to put him in, it was now. Finally, Coach Miller turned around, his eyes scanning the bench. "Jordan, you're in for Mike." Jaden's heart raced as he jumped to his feet. He wiped his sweaty palms on his shorts and ran onto the court, giving Mike a high five as they passed each other. "Don't mess this up, Jordan," Mike said with a grin. "That wasn't really friendly." Jaden took his position, trying to remember everything he had practiced. The ball was passed inbounds, and his teammate Caleb dribbled down the court. Jaden cut to the basket, waving his hand. "I'm open," he called. By some miracle, Caleb passed him the ball. Jaden caught it, took one dribble, and went up for the layup. It was an easy shot, one he had made hundreds of times in practice. But not today. The ball hit the rim, circled around, and fell out. Groans erupted from the crowd. Jaden's cheeks burned as he ran back on defense. "Like father, unlike son," someone shouted from the bleachers. The words hit Jaden like a physical blow. He missed a defensive assignment, and a Lakeside player scored an easy basket. "Jordan, what are you doing out there?" Coach Miller yelled. For the next 2 minutes, Jaden tried to make himself invisible on the court. When the final buzzer sounded, he was the first one to the locker room. "Hey, Air Jaden," called Trevor as the other boys filed in. "Nice air ball." "It wasn't an air ball," Jaden muttered. "It hit the rim." "Whatever," Trevor said. "I bet your dad never missed a layup in his life." The other boys laughed, and Jaden changed as quickly as he could, keeping his eyes down. His dad never missed layups. His dad never missed anything. His dad was Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time, winner of 6 NBA championships, 5-time MVP, and owner of the Charlotte Hornets, and Jaden was just Jaden. The drive home was quiet. Their driver, Mr. Reynolds, knew better than to ask about the game. As they pulled through the gates of their Highland Park mansion, Jaden stared out the window at the sprawling green lawns. Most kids would think living here was amazing. Most kids didn't have to be Michael Jordan's son. "Thanks, Mr. Reynolds," Jaden said as he got out of the car. Inside, the house was quiet. His mom was at a charity event, and his dad was in Charlotte for Hornets business. His older siblings were all grown up and living their own lives. Jasmine was working with the Jordan brand, Jeffrey had his own business, and Marcus ran Trophy Room, a shoe store inspired by their dad's trophy room at home. Speaking of the trophy room, Jaden dropped his backpack by the stairs and walked down the hall to the room that held his father's accomplishments. The door was never locked. It was like his dad wanted them to go in there to see what greatness looked like. Jaden flipped on the lights. Glass cases lined the walls, filled with golden trophies, game balls and framed jerseys, photos of his dad soaring through the air, tongue out, determined to win no matter what. In the center of the room was the display of 6 NBA championship trophies, each one representing a year the Chicago Bulls, led by Michael Jordan, had been the best team in the world. Jayden stood in front of a large photo of his dad jumping from the free throw line in the slam dunk contest. People said it looked like he was flying. "I'll never be like you," Jayden whispered to the photo. His phone buzzed in his pocket. It was a text from his best friend, Terrell. "How was the game?" Jayden typed back. "Coach put me in. I missed an easy layup." The reply came quickly. "That's rough, but hey, you got in the game. That's something." Terrell was always looking on the bright side. That's why they were friends. Tyrell didn't care that Jayden was Michael Jordan's son. He just cared that Jayden liked the same video games and comic books that he did. Another text came through. "Want to play Rocket League tonight?" "Can't. Got homework," Jayden replied. It wasn't exactly a lie. He did have homework, but mostly, he just wanted to be alone. Jayden left the trophy room and went to the kitchen. Their chef, Ms. Patty, had left dinner in the refrigerator with heating instructions. Jayden wasn't hungry, but he knew she would ask tomorrow if he had eaten. As he waited for the food to heat up, he checked his phone again. Someone had already posted a video clip of his missed layup on Instagram. The caption read, "Guess the GOAT genes skipped a generation." There were already 50 comments, most of them laughing or making jokes about how he'd never live up to his dad's legacy. Jayden turned off his phone and put it face down on the counter. The microwave beeped, but he ignored it. Instead, he went upstairs to his room and closed the door. His room was the one place that was truly his. No basketball posters, no Bulls colors, just his science fair medals, sketches of shoe designs he was working on, and his collection of robot-building kits. Jayden sat at his desk and pulled out his journal. His therapist had suggested he write down his feelings instead of keeping them bottled up. He hadn't told his parents about the journal. It was private. "Dear Journal," he wrote, "I missed another shot today." Everyone laughed. Someone shouted something about me not being like Dad, as if I didn't know that already. He paused, tapping his pen against the page. "Sometimes I think I should just quit basketball. But what would Dad say? Basketball is everything to him. It's his whole life. If I quit, would he be disappointed? Would he think I'm weak?" Jayden looked at the framed family photo on his desk. It was from last Christmas, all of them wearing matching pajamas and smiling. His dad's arm was around him, proud and strong. "I love basketball," Jayden continued writing. "I really do, but I hate being Michael Jordan's son on the basketball court. No matter how good I get, I'll never be good enough." He closed the journal and put it in his desk drawer. Tomorrow was another day, another practice, another chance to prove himself, or to fail trying. Jayden changed into his pajamas and got into bed, even though it was only 7:30. He was tired in a way that had nothing to do with physical activity. "Maybe I should just quit," he whispered into the darkness of his room. But even as he said it, he knew he wouldn't. Not yet. Because somewhere deep inside, past all the doubt and fear and pressure, was a tiny spark of hope that maybe, just maybe, he could find his own way to shine, even in the shadow of the greatest of all time. The next morning, Jayden dragged himself out of bed when his alarm went off. His mom was already gone for a breakfast meeting, and his dad was still in Charlotte. The house felt huge and empty as he got ready for school. Mr. Reynolds drove him to North Shore Middle School in silence. As they pulled up to the drop-off area, Jayden could see his best friend Tyrell waiting by the front steps. "Have a good day, young Mr. Jordan," Mr. Reynolds said. "Thanks," Jayden mumbled. as he grabbed his backpack and got out of the car. Terrell jogged over to meet him. "Dude, you look like you didn't sleep." "I didn't." "Not much anyway." Jaden fell into step beside his friend as they walked into the school. The hallways were crowded with kids rushing to their lockers before first period. Jaden kept his head down, hoping to blend in. It didn't work. "Yo, Jordan," called Marcus. Lee, a tall 8th grader who thought he was the best basketball player in school, "Saw that air ball yesterday. Think you could show us how to miss a layup like that?" His friends laughed. One of them pretended to shoot a basketball and missed terribly. "It wasn't an air ball," Tyrell said, stepping forward. "And why don't you back off?" Marcus raised his eyebrows. "Whoa, sorry. Didn't know Air Jordan Jr. needed a bodyguard." Jaden grabbed Terrell's arm and pulled him away. "Just ignore them. You can't let them talk to you like that," Tyrell said as they walked to their lockers. "I'm used to it." Jaden spun the combination on his lock. "It's been like this since 1st grade." "It's not right," Tyrell insisted. Inside his locker, Jaden had taped up a small photo of his grandfather's workshop. No basketball stuff, no pictures of his dad. Just the one place where he felt like he could be himself. Their first class was science with Mr. Wilson, Jaden's favorite teacher. Today, we're starting a unit on simple machines. We'll be building our own pulley systems next week, Mr. Wilson announced. Start thinking about your partners for the project. Tyrell nudged Jaden. Partners? Jaden nodded, already imagining improvements he could make to a basic pulley system. Science made sense to him in a way that basketball never did. There were rules that didn't change. If you did things the right way, they worked every time. The morning passed quickly. Then came lunch. The cafeteria was loud and chaotic as Jaden and Tyrell carried their trays to their usual table. A group of boys from the basketball team sat at the next table over. "Did you guys see that video of Jordan's kid missing that shot?" One of them asked loudly, making sure Jaden could hear. "My little sister could make that layup." "I bet his dad is super disappointed," another boy said. "Look, I'm Jaden Jordan," a third boy said, standing up. He pretended to dribble, then shot an imaginary ball that missed badly. "Oops, guess I didn't inherit the talent gene." They all burst out laughing. Jaden stared at his sandwich, his appetite gone. "Those guys are jerks," Tyrell said. "Don't listen to them." "It's fine," Jaden said, "even though it wasn't. I'm used to it." "That's what you always say. But I can tell it bothers you." Before Jaden could respond, a food tray slid onto the table across from them. It was Mia Chen from their English class. "Mind if I sit here?" she asked. "Everywhere. Else is full." "Sure," Jaden said, relieved for the interruption. Mia was new this year. Her parents were famous too. Her mom was a famous chef with her own TV show, and her dad was a well-known surgeon. Maybe that's why she didn't treat Jaden like he was different from everyone else. "Are you guys going to the STEM fair next weekend?" Mia asked. "I'm entering my solar-powered water filter." "I didn't know about it," Jaden said. "You should enter," Mia said. "Mr. Wilson says you're the best in our grade at engineering stuff." "He said that?" Jaden felt a small glow of pride. "Yeah, you should totally enter." The rest of lunch was better as they talked about science projects instead of basketball. But when Terrell and Mia left for their next class, Jaden had to walk past the basketball players' table alone. "Hey, Jordan," one called. "My dad got tickets to the Bulls game next week. Think your dad could sign something for me? At least someone in your family should be good at basketball." Jaden kept walking, his face burning. 5th period was English with Ms. Reynolds. They were reading The Outsiders, a book about kids who didn't fit in. Jaden could relate. When class ended, Ms. Reynolds called, "Jaden, could you stay for a minute?" Tyrell gave him a questioning look, but Jaden shrugged. "I'll catch up with you." When the other students were gone, Ms. Reynolds motioned for Jaden to sit in the desk nearest her. "Is everything okay?" she asked. "You seem down today." "I'm fine," Jaden said automatically. Ms. Reynolds raised an eyebrow. "Really? Because you've been staring at the same page for most of class." Jaden looked down at his hands. "Just tired, I guess." "Does this have anything to do with the basketball game yesterday?" Jaden's head snapped up. "You were there?" "My nephew plays for Lakeside." She leaned forward. "Can I tell you something, Jaden? Something not many people know?" He nodded, curious. "My mother is Elaine Reynolds." Jaden frowned. "The actress?" "Yes. She won 3 Academy Awards before I was born." Ms. Reynolds smiled sadly. "Everyone expected me to become an actress too. When I chose teaching instead, people acted like I was wasting my talent." "Did it bother you?" Jaden asked quietly. "Every day for years," she admitted. "But eventually I realized something important. Her story isn't my story." Jaden thought about that. "But everyone expects me to be like my dad." "And what do you want?" Jaden hesitated. "I love basketball, I really do. But I love other things too. And no matter how hard I try, I'll never be as good as him." "You don't have to be," Ms. Reynolds said gently. "You just have to be you." The bell rang, signaling the start of the next period. "You'd better get to class," Ms. Reynolds said. "But Jaden, remember that a name is just a name. It's what you do with it that matters." Jaden nodded and gathered his books. As he headed to his next class, the weight of his last name still felt heavy on his shoulders. But maybe, just maybe, it didn't have to crush him completely. The next few days passed in a blur of classes, homework, and basketball practice. Coach Miller worked them harder than usual, preparing for the big game against their rivals, the West Side Warriors. "They've beaten us 3 years in a row," Coach reminded them on Thursday afternoon. "This year, we changed that." Jaden practiced his layups over and over after the regular practice ended. No one was going to mock him for missing an easy shot again. Friday night arrived, and the gym was packed. West Side Warriors fans filled one side of the bleachers, while North Shore Eagles supporters packed the other side. Jaden spotted his mom in the crowd, sitting with Ms. Patty, their chef. His dad was still in Charlotte, but Jaden was almost glad. The pressure was bad enough without Michael Jordan watching from the stands. "Eagles on 3!" Coach Miller shouted in the pregame huddle. "1, 2, 3, Eagles!" the team shouted together. The game started badly. West Side's point guard, Kevin Williams, was lightning fast and scored 10 points in the first quarter. By halftime, the Eagles were down by 12 points. "We need to tighten up our defense," Coach Miller said in the locker room, "and somebody needs to step up on offense." His eyes swept across the team and landed on Jaden. "Jordan, I'm putting you in to start the third quarter. Think you can handle it?" Jaden's heart hammered in his chest, but he nodded. "Yes, Coach." When they returned to the court, Jaden could feel everyone watching him. The whispers started as soon as he took his position. "Is that Jordan's kid? Let's see if he got any of his dad's talent. I heard he's terrible." Jaden tried to block out the voices. He focused on the ball, on his teammates, on the plays they had practiced 100 times. The third quarter was a disaster. Jaden missed 2 shots and turned the ball over 3 times. Coach Miller took him out with 4 minutes left in the quarter, and Jaden slumped onto the bench, his cheeks burning with shame. The Eagles lost by 15 points. In the locker room, no one spoke to Jayden. He changed quickly and escaped into the hallway, where his mom was waiting. "You tried your best, honey," she said, putting an arm around his shoulders. Jayden said nothing. What was there to say? His best wasn't good enough. It never would be. At home, Jayden went straight to his room and fell onto his bed, still wearing his team sweatshirt. He was too tired and disappointed to even change. He must have fallen asleep because the next thing he knew, his phone was buzzing like crazy. Sunlight streamed through his curtains. It was Saturday morning. Jayden grabbed his phone, expecting texts from Tyrell. Instead, he had notifications from Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and dozens of text messages from numbers he didn't recognize. "What in the world?" he muttered, opening Instagram first. His heart sank as he saw what was trending. Someone had made a video comparing clips of his dad's greatest moments with footage from last night's game. Michael Jordan soaring through the air for an amazing dunk, followed by Jayden missing an easy layup. Michael Jordan hitting the game-winning shot in the NBA Finals, followed by Jayden throwing the ball out of bounds. The caption read, "Like father, unlike son." The video had millions of views and thousands of comments. Jayden scrolled through them, each one worse than the last. Guess talent skips a generation. This is why you don't name your kid after yourself, MJ. Most disappointing sequel since Space Jam 2. Poor kid. Imagine having Michael Jordan's DNA and still being this bad at basketball. There were some kind comments too, but they were buried under the cruel ones. Jayden threw his phone down on the bed. His eyes burned with tears. He refused to let fall. His phone rang. It was his sister, Jasmine. "Don't answer it," he told himself, but after 5 rings, he picked up. "Hey, Jay." Jasmine's voice was gentle. "You okay?" "You saw it?" Jayden asked, his voice cracking slightly. "Yeah, it's all over the place." She paused. "It's not fair, Jay. You're 14 years old, for crying out loud. Dad wasn't even starting on his high school varsity team at your age." "Really?" That was news to Jayden. "Really? Did you know he got cut from his high school team as a sophomore?" People forget that part of the story. Jayden didn't say anything. It was hard to imagine his dad, the GOAT, the 6-time champion, getting cut from any team. "Have you talked to Dad about this?" Jasmine asked. "No," Jayden said quickly. "And don't you tell him either. Please, Jazz. I need to handle this myself." "Jay, promise me." Jasmine sighed. "Fine. But you should talk to him. He understands pressure better than anyone." After they hung up, Jayden lay on his bed staring at the ceiling. His phone kept buzzing with notifications, but he ignored it. A soft knock came at his door. "Jayden?" It was his mom. "Breakfast is ready." "I'm not hungry," he called back. "You need to eat something, honey." Later, he heard her sigh, but she didn't push it. That's what he liked about his mom. She knew when to give him space. When his stomach finally forced him downstairs around noon, the house was quiet. He found a note on the kitchen counter. Had to go to a charity event. Back by 6. Love, Mom. Jayden made himself a sandwich and took it back to his room. His phone showed 27 missed calls and over 100 text messages. He turned it off completely. Instead of checking social media, he pulled out his journal from his desk drawer. "Dear Journal," he wrote. "Today, I'm famous in the worst possible way. Millions of people are laughing at me for not being as good as my dad." He tapped his pen against the page. "What if I quit basketball for real? Would that make things better or worse? People would say I couldn't handle the pressure. They'd say I'm a quitter." He closed his eyes. remembering how it felt when the ball left his fingertips during a perfect shot. The sweet swish of the net. The satisfaction of a well-executed play. Despite everything, he still loved the game. But what if I'm just not good? Enough? He wrote. What if I keep trying and I'm never even close to what he was? What am I supposed to do then? Jaden closed the journal without answering his own question. He didn't have an answer. All he knew was that right now, at this moment, he felt completely alone. Like he was standing at the bottom of a mountain everyone expected him to climb, without any idea how to take the first step. Sunday morning, Jaden woke up to the sound of rain pattering against his window. Perfect weather to match his mood. He turned on his phone just long enough to text Coach Miller that he wouldn't be at practice that afternoon. Then he turned it off again before seeing any notifications. Downstairs, his mom was making pancakes, her Sunday morning tradition. "Morning, honey," she said, flipping a perfectly golden pancake onto a plate. "Feeling any better today?" Jaden shrugged as he slid onto a stool at the kitchen island. "I told Coach I'm not coming to practice." His mom placed the plate in front of him, along with a bottle of real maple syrup. "That might be for the best. Everyone needs a mental health day sometimes." Jaden poked at his pancakes. "Did you see the video?" She nodded slowly. "I did, and I've already called the school to talk about their social media policies. What those kids did wasn't just mean. It was bullying." "It doesn't matter," Jaden mumbled. "The damage is done." "It does matter," his mom said firmly. "And we will address it. But first, you need some time to clear your head." She checked her watch. "I have to go to a foundation meeting this afternoon. Will you be okay by yourself?" "I'm 14, Mom." "Not 4. She smiled. "I know, just checking." She kissed the top of his head. "Try to get some fresh air today, okay?" After she left, Jaden wandered around the big house, feeling restless. The rain had stopped, leaving everything outside fresh and clean. On impulse, he grabbed his jacket and headed out to the detached garage at the far end of their property. This wasn't where they kept their cars. This was his grandfather's old workshop, preserved just as he had left it when he passed away 3 years ago. James Jordan, Jaden's grandfather, had been a mechanic and handyman before Michael made it big. Even after his son became famous, James kept working with his hands, saying it kept him grounded. He'd taught Jaden how to use tools when he was just 7 years old. "Careful hands make careful work," Grandpa James always said. It was one of the few clear memories Jaden had of him. The workshop smelled of wood, metal, and motor oil, scents that instantly calmed Jaden's mind. Tools hung neatly on pegboards. Workbenches lined the walls. In the corner sat his grandfather's prized possession, an old radio he had built himself back in the 1970s. Jaden walked over to it, running his fingers along the dials. It hadn't worked since before Grandpa James died. Jaden had always wanted to try fixing it, but hadn't found the courage to attempt it. "Maybe today's the day," he said aloud, his voice echoing in the quiet space. He found his grandfather's repair manuals on a shelf and flipped through until he found the section on vacuum tube radios. The diagrams were complicated, but Jaden had always been good at figuring out how things worked. Hours passed as he carefully opened the back of the radio, examining the dusty components inside. He made notes in a small notebook, drawing diagrams of how everything connected. When he found a broken wire and a cracked tube, he felt a surge of excitement. "I can fix this," he whispered. A knock at the workshop door startled him. He looked up to see Mr. Phillips, their groundskeeper, standing in the doorway. "Thought I saw the light on in here," Mr. Phillips said. "Your mother called to check on you. Said you weren't answering your phone." "Sorry," Jaden said. I left it in the house. Mr. Phillips nodded, his eyes moving to the disassembled radio. Your grandpa's old Zenith, huh? He loved that thing. Used to say they don't make 'em like that anymore. I think I can fix it, Jaden said. There's a broken connection and a cracked tube. Well, if anyone can do it, you can, Mr. Phillips said. You've got good hands like your grandpa. He turned to leave, then paused. By the way, your friend Tyrell has been calling the house. Said it was important. After Mr. Phillips left, Jaden kept working for another hour. His hands seemed to know what to do, even with something as old and complicated as the radio. He finally looked at his watch. He was shocked to see it was already 5:30 p.m. He carefully closed up the radio, leaving his tools laid out for tomorrow. He wasn't finished yet, but he had made good progress. Back in the house, he found his phone and saw 15 missed calls from Tyrell, plus a bunch of texts. Dude, where are you? Are you okay? Coach was asking about you at practice. I need to talk to you. Call me, Jaden called him back. Finally, Tyrell answered on the first ring. I've been trying to reach you all day. Sorry, I was in Grandpa's workshop. What's so important? I'm coming over, Tyrell said. Be there in 15 minutes. True to his word, Tyrell arrived at Jaden's house exactly 15 minutes later, out of breath from riding his bike. Did you see the new posts? Tyrell asked as soon as Jaden let him in. Jaden's stomach clenched. No, I've been avoiding my phone. Good call, Tyrell said, following Jaden up to his room. It's gotten even worse, but also better, in a weird way. What are you talking about? Tyrell pulled out his phone and showed Jaden. The original video mocking him had spawned dozens of copycat videos. But there were also new videos of kids, strangers, defending him. This one has 500,000 views, Tyrell said, clicking on a video of a girl about their age. Leave Jaden Jordan alone, the girl said to the camera. He's just a kid trying to play basketball. His dad is a legend, but that doesn't mean he has to be one too. How would you feel if millions of people watched you mess up and then made fun of you for it? Jaden stared at the screen. Who is she? No idea, Tyrell said. But she's not the only one. He showed Jaden more videos, more comments. For every mean post, there seemed to be someone standing up for him. Jaden didn't know how to feel. It was weird having strangers talk about him, even if they were being nice. People want to hear from you, Tyrell said. Your side of things. What am I supposed to say? Jaden asked. Sorry, I'm not as good as my dad? No, Tyrell said. You're supposed to say whatever you want to say. It's your life, man. Jaden sat down at his desk and turned on his laptop. I've been thinking about that all day. About what? About what I want. Not what everyone else wants for me. Jaden opened a new document and started typing. The words came quickly, flowing from somewhere deep inside him. Tyrell read over his shoulder. Whoa, that's deep, dude. It's how I feel, Jaden said, his fingers still flying across the keyboard. All this time, I've been trying to be someone I'm not sure I want to be, or can be. So what are you going to do with this? Tyrell asked, when Jaden finally stopped typing. Jaden stared at the screen, at the words that had poured out of him. Words about pressure and expectations, about living in a shadow, about finding his own way. I don't know yet, he said, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I have something to say. And maybe, just maybe, people will listen. Jaden saved the document and closed his laptop. There was more work to be done, both on his grandfather's radio and on finding his voice. But for the first time since the viral video had appeared, he felt something like hope flickering in his chest. He wasn't just Michael Jordan's son. He was Jaden Jordan, and it was time the world knew who that really was. Monday morning arrived with a decision. Jaden would go to school and face whatever waited for him there. He couldn't hide forever. "I'll pick you up after school," his mom said, as Mr. Reynolds pulled up to the school drop-off area. "If it gets too overwhelming, just call me." Jaden nodded, took a deep breath, and got out of the car. Terrell was waiting for him, as always. "Got your back," Terrell said simply. The day wasn't as bad as Jaden had feared. Some kids stared and whispered, but many others seemed almost embarrassed to look at him. Ms. Reynolds gave him an encouraging smile in English class. Even Marcus Lee and his friends left him alone. After school, Jaden was surprised to see not just his mom's car waiting, but 3 others. His siblings had all come home. Jeffrey, his oldest brother, was talking with Marcus near the school entrance. Jasmine waved from the parking lot. They had all come to support him. "Family meeting," his mom announced when they got home. In the living room, Jaden hadn't seen all his siblings together since Christmas. Jeffrey, now 27, ran a management consulting business in Chicago. Marcus, 25, operated Trophy Room, his sneaker store in Orlando. Jasmine, 23, worked for the Jordan brand in Portland. They were all successful, all finding their own paths, despite having the same famous father. "Dad's on his way home," Jeffrey said as they gathered in the living room. "He caught a flight as soon as the team meeting ended." Jaden's stomach tightened. "He's seen the video?" "Everyone's seen the video, little bro," Marcus said, but not unkindly. "It's everywhere." "That's why we're here," Jasmine added, "because we've all been through versions of this." Their mom sat beside Jaden on the couch. "Your father and I thought it might help to hear from your siblings about their experiences." Jeffrey spoke first. "When I played basketball at UCF, people came to games just to see if I was as good as Dad. Reporters asked me about him instead. Of my own game, it was a lot." "Did it bother you?" Jaden asked. "Every single day," Jeffrey admitted. "I was a decent college player, but I wasn't NBA material. Definitely wasn't Dad material." "But you played anyway," Jaden said. Jeffrey nodded. "Until I realized I was playing for the wrong reasons. I was playing to live up to his legacy instead of creating my own." "That's why you quit?" Jaden had always wondered but never asked. "That's why I quit," Jeffrey confirmed. "Best decision I ever made. I found something I'm good at, something that makes me happy." Marcus leaned forward. "My story's a little different. I played at UCF too, but I always knew I wasn't going to the NBA. I loved the game, but I also loved the culture around it. Especially sneakers." Jaden knew about his brother's massive sneaker collection. It had inspired the name of his store. "So I found a way to be part of basketball culture without playing professionally," Marcus continued. "Trophy Room connects me to Dad's legacy, but on my own terms." "What about you?" Jaden asked Jasmine. "I never played basketball seriously," she said. "I liked sports management, the business side of things. Some people thought I was rejecting Dad's legacy, but I was just finding my own way to be part of it." Jaden thought about this. "Did Dad ever pressure you guys to play?" All 3 siblings shook their heads. "Never," Jeffrey said. "He always said he wanted us to find what made us happy." "Then why does it feel like I'm letting him down if I don't want to play?" Jaden asked quietly. His mom put an arm around his shoulders. "That's not coming from your father, honey. That's coming from everyone else. And maybe a little from inside. You too." "I want to tell you something," Marcus said. "When I was about your age, I overheard Dad talking to Uncle Charles Barkley. Uncle Charles asked if he was disappointed that none of us would be NBA players. Jaden held his breath, waiting. Dad said, "My job isn't to raise NBA players. My job is to raise good people who find their own path." Jaden let those words sink in. His own path, not his father's. "The thing is," Jasmine added, "living with our last name means we have opportunities most people don't have. But it also means we face challenges most people don't understand. Like having millions of people watch you mess up," Jaden said bitterly. "Exactly," Jeffrey said. "It's not fair, but it's our reality. The question is, what are you going to do about it?" Before Jaden could answer, the front door opened. His father's voice called out, "I'm home!" Michael Jordan walked into the living room, still dressed in a business suit from his meetings. He looked tired, but his eyes lit up seeing all his children together. "Well, this is a surprise," he said, hugging each of them in turn. When he reached Jaden, he held the hug a little longer. "You okay, son?" he asked quietly. Jaden wasn't sure how to answer. Was he okay? Not really. But something had shifted inside him during this conversation with his siblings. "I'm figuring some things out," he said finally. His father nodded, as if that was exactly the right answer. That's all any of us can do. Later that evening, after dinner, Jaden's mother found him sitting alone on the back porch. "What are you thinking about?" she asked, sitting beside him. "Something Jasmine said. About our last name giving us opportunities but also challenges." His mother nodded. "That's very true. I think I need to find out who Jaden Jordan is," he said slowly, "separate from being Michael Jordan's son." "And who do you think Jaden Jordan is?" she asked. Jaden gazed up at the stars. "I'm not sure yet, but I'm starting to get some ideas." His mother squeezed his hand. "Being a Jordan doesn't mean you have to be like your father. It means facing challenges with determination and forging your own path. That's the real Jordan legacy." As Jaden went to bed that night, his siblings' stories replayed in his mind. They had all found their ways to be Jordans without being Michael Jordan. Maybe he could too. The world might know him as Michael Jordan's son. But that was just the beginning of his story, not the end. Tuesday morning felt different. Jaden walked into school with his head up, determined to face whatever came his way. His siblings had gone back to their own lives, but their words stayed with him. Find your own path. Be a Jordan your own way. He made it through his morning classes without incident. When lunch period arrived, he spotted Mia Chen waving him over to her table. "I heard you're interested in the STEM fair," she said as he sat down. "You should definitely enter. The deadline is Friday." "I'm thinking about it," Jaden said. "I've been working on fixing my grandfather's old radio." "That sounds cool," Mia said. "My dad collects vintage electronics. He says they're better built than new stuff." As they talked about the radio project, Jaden almost forgot about the viral video and all the drama. It felt good to talk about something he was passionate about. After school, Jaden headed to basketball practice. He hadn't gone yesterday, but he wasn't a quitter. Even if basketball wasn't going to be his future, he had made a commitment to the team. Coach Miller was setting up drills when Jaden walked in. The other players fell silent, watching to see what would happen. "Jordan," Coach said with a nod, "my office. The rest of you start warm-ups." Jaden followed Coach Miller into the small office next to the gym. He was prepared for a lecture about missing practice, maybe even getting kicked off the team. Instead, Coach Miller said, "How are you holding up?" "I'm okay," Jaden said, surprised by the question. "That video was rough," Coach said. Kids can be cruel, especially online. Jaden nodded, not trusting himself to speak. I've been thinking about how to handle this, Coach continued, and I decided we're going to try something different today. Different how? You'll see. Coach Miller stood up. But first, we're taking a field trip. Just you and me. They left the gym, surprising the team, and walked through the school hallways to the library. Ms. Garcia, the librarian, smiled at them. Right this way, Coach, she said, leading them to a quiet corner with a table of books already set out. What's this about? Jaden asked, confused. Sit down, Coach Miller said, taking a seat himself. There's something I want to show you. Coach Miller had been a pretty good basketball player in college. Everyone knew that. He'd played at DePaul University, but never made it to the NBA. Jaden had always assumed he was bitter about it. Did you know I almost made it to the pros? Coach asked, as if reading Jaden's mind. I was a second-round draft pick for the Bulls, actually. Really? Jaden was impressed. What happened? Blew out my knee in training camp, Coach said, tapping his left leg. Just like that. Dream over. I'm sorry, Jaden said. For years, I was angry, especially watching guys like your dad succeed. Coach Miller picked up one of the books on the table. I used to think success meant making it to the NBA. Now I know success means finding what you're meant to do. He handed Jaden the book. It was called Famous Children Who Chose Different Paths. Ms. Garcia helped me find these, Coach said, gesturing to the table of books. This one has stories about Frank Sinatra Jr., Julian Lennon, and lots of others who had famous parents, but found their own way. Jaden flipped through the pages, seeing familiar last names, but unfamiliar stories. Your dad cast a long shadow, Coach Miller said. But greatness isn't about standing in someone else's light. It's about finding your own. He picked up another book called Finding Your Purpose and handed it to Jaden. Take this one home. Read the first 3 chapters by Friday, and we'll talk about it. Is this homework? Jaden asked, confused. Coach Miller smiled. Think of it as life homework. More important than basketball drills. But what about practice? Today, this is your practice. Coach stood up. Take your time with those books. I'm heading back to the gym. Coach, Jaden called as the man turned to leave. Why are you doing this? Coach Miller paused. Because I spent too many years trying to be something I wasn't meant to be. And because you're more than just a basketball player, Jordan. You're a young man trying to figure out who you are. That's the most important game you'll ever play. As Coach Miller left, Jaden sat in the quiet library, surrounded by books about people who had faced the same challenge he was facing now. For the first time, he realized he wasn't alone in this struggle. With a deep breath, he opened Finding Your Purpose and began to read. Jaden spent the rest of the afternoon in the library, reading about people who had grown up in the shadow of famous parents. He was surprised to learn how many of them had struggled with the same feelings he had. The pressure to be something they weren't, the constant comparisons, the fear of disappointing their families. By the time Mr. Reynolds picked him up, Jaden had filled 3 pages in his notebook with quotes and ideas from the books Coach Miller had shown him. He kept thinking about what Coach had said. Greatness isn't about standing in someone else's light. It's about finding your own. At home, he went straight to his grandfather's workshop to continue working on the radio. His hands were steady as he carefully replaced the cracked vacuum tube with one he'd ordered online. The work required total concentration, leaving no room for worries about viral videos or basketball expectations. There you are, his mom said, appearing in the doorway. Dinner's almost ready. Just a few more minutes, Jaden said, not looking up from the delicate wiring he was fixing. "You really love this, don't you?" she asked, watching him work. Jaden nodded. "It makes sense to me. Like putting together a puzzle where all the pieces have a place." "Your grandfather would be proud," she said softly. "He always said you had the touch." After dinner, Jaden retreated to his room to read more of Finding Your Purpose. The book talked about how people often confused their parents' dreams with their own, and how important it was to listen to your inner voice. Jaden wasn't sure what his inner voice was saying yet, but for the first time, he was trying to hear it. Wednesday and Thursday passed in a blur of school, reading and working on the radio. The viral video was still out there, but it seemed to be losing steam as people moved on to the next internet sensation. At school, things were almost back to normal, though Jaden noticed more kids coming to talk to him about things other than basketball. Word had gotten around that he was good with electronics, and suddenly people were asking him to help fix their phones and game controllers. Friday afternoon, Jaden arrived home from school to find an unfamiliar car in the driveway. His dad's Charlotte Hornets owner car that he rarely drove in Chicago. Michael Jordan was home early. "Dad?" Jaden called as he entered the house. "Are you here?" "In the kitchen," came the reply. Jaden found his father making a sandwich, dressed casually in jeans and a golf shirt instead of his usual business attire. "Hey, son," Michael said, giving Jaden a one-armed hug. "Hungry? I'm making turkey and Swiss." "Sure," Jaden said, setting his backpack down. "I thought you were in Charlotte until next week." Michael shrugged. "Some things are more important than business meetings." He started assembling a second sandwich. "Your sister called me." Jaden's stomach tightened. Jasmine promised she wouldn't. "Don't be mad at her," Michael said. "She was worried about you. We all are." "I'm fine," Jaden said automatically. Michael raised an eyebrow, the same way he did when reporters asked stupid questions. "Really? Because that video was rough. If someone had done that to me at your age, I don't know how I would have handled it." Jaden didn't know what to say. His dad rarely talked about his own struggles. "How about we eat these outside?" Michael Fierce suggested, handing Jaden a plate with a perfectly cut sandwich. They sat on the patio overlooking the backyard. For a while, they just ate in silence. Jaden kept waiting for his dad to bring up basketball, to ask why he'd missed practice, to give him tips on how to improve his game. Instead, Michael asked, "How's school going? Still getting A's in science?" "Yeah," Jaden said, surprised by the question. "Actually, I'm thinking about entering the STEM fair. I've been fixing Grandpa's old radio." "No kidding?" Michael looked genuinely interested. "I remember that radio. Dad loved that thing. Used to listen to Bulls games on it." He smiled at the memory. "He always said you had the touch for fixing things, even when you were little." They talked about school, about Jaden's friends, about the books he was reading. Everything except basketball. It was the longest conversation they'd had in months. That didn't involve sports. After dinner, Michael said, "Come with me. I want to show you something." He led Jaden to his trophy room. Jaden hesitated at the door. This was usually where he felt the most inadequate, surrounded by physical reminders of his father's greatness. "It's okay," Michael said. "I just want to show you some things you haven't seen before." Inside the trophy room, Michael bypassed the championship trophies and MVP awards. Instead, he went to a cabinet in the corner and unlocked it with a small key. "This is the stuff most people don't know about," he said, pulling out a shoebox. "The failures, the setbacks." He opened the box and handed Jaden a faded letter. It was from Laney High School in Wilmington, North Carolina, dated 1978. It was EC, the cut notice from when Michael had been dropped from the varsity team as a sophomore. I was devastated, Michael said quietly. Cried in my room that night. You did? Jaden couldn't imagine his father crying over basketball. Michael nodded. Then I used that pain to work harder, but it still hurt. He showed Jaden more papers, rejection letters from colleges that had passed on recruiting him, negative scouting reports, critical newspaper articles from early in his career. People only see the winning, Michael said. They don't see all this. The doubt, the failure, the work. Finally, he pulled out a worn pair of basketball shoes, cracked and faded with age. My first real basketball shoes, Michael said. Not even close to what you kids have today. Jaden took the shoes carefully, feeling the weight of history in his hands. Dad, he said hesitantly, what if basketball isn't my thing? What if I'm meant to do something else? Michael was quiet for a moment, looking at his son. Then he put his hand on Jaden's shoulder. Then you find what is your thing, he said simply. And you put everything you have into it. That's the real legacy I want to leave you. Not the trophies, the work ethic, the determination, the will to be great at whatever path you choose. Before leaving for Charlotte the next morning, Michael hugged Jaden tightly. I'm proud of you, he said, no matter what. Those 5 words echoed in Jaden's mind long after his father's car had disappeared down the driveway. No matter what. Jaden spent Saturday morning in his grandfather's workshop, putting the final touches on the radio. He had replaced the broken tube, fixed the wiring, and cleaned decades of dust from the inside. Now came the moment of truth. He plugged it in, turned the dial, and held his breath. For a second, there was nothing but static. Then, suddenly, music filled the workshop, clear and strong, as if the radio had never been broken at all. I did it, Jaden whispered. I actually fixed it. He turned the dial, finding different stations. Each one came through perfectly. His grandfather's radio was working again after all these years. Jaden sat back on his stool, feeling a sense of accomplishment, unlike anything he'd ever felt on a basketball court. His phone buzzed with a text from Tyrell. Community Center at Wansau. Coach Wilson needs volunteers. Jaden had almost forgotten his promise to help at the community center where his mom volunteered. It was a place in a rougher part of Chicago where kids could play sports, get help with homework, and stay off the streets. I'll be there, he texted back. The Northside Community Center was housed in an old brick building with a small basketball court out back. When Jaden arrived, Coach Wilson was organizing a group of middle school kids for a pickup basketball game. Jordan, perfect timing, Coach called. We're short a coach for the younger kids. Think you can handle it? Before Jaden could answer, a skinny boy about 10 years old tugged at his sleeve. Are you really Michael Jordan's son? He asked, his eyes wide. I am, Jaden said, waiting for the usual questions about his dad or comments about his own basketball skills. Instead, the boy grinned and said, Cool, I'm Dion. Can you help me with my jump shot? It keeps going sideways. For the next 2 hours, Jaden worked with Dion and 5 other young boys, teaching them basic basketball skills. None of them cared that he wasn't as good as his dad. They were just excited to play. Where'd you get your shoes? Dion asked during a water break, pointing at Jaden's Air Jordans. My dad's company makes them, Jaden said. Dion nodded. They're nice. Mine are from the dollar store. He showed Jaden his worn sneakers with holes starting to form in the toes. But they work okay. Something about Dion's matter-of-fact acceptance of his circumstances touched Jaden. Here was a kid who had real challenges in life, yet he came to the community center with a smile, eager to learn basketball just for the joy of it. After the session, Jaden found Coach Wilson in his office. "Thanks for your help today," Coach said. "The kids loved you." "I enjoyed it too," Jaden admitted, "especially working with Dion." Coach nodded. "Good kid. Tough situation at home, but he's got heart. Reminds me a little of your dad, actually." "My dad?" Jaden was confused. "The determination, the focus. Your dad didn't grow up with much, you know. He had to work for everything he got." Jaden thought about the worn first basketball shoes his dad had shown him. It was easy to forget that Michael Jordan hadn't always been rich and famous. "Is Dion good at basketball?" Jaden asked. "He could be," Coach said, "with the right coaching and equipment. But he's got bigger obstacles than most kids." On the drive home, Jaden couldn't stop thinking about Dion and the other kids at the community center. They played basketball because they loved it, not because of pressure or expectations. There was a purity to their enjoyment that Jaden hadn't felt in a long time. He also kept thinking about what his dad had said. "Find what is your thing, and put everything you have into it." At home, Jaden sat at his desk and opened his journal. He made a list of things he enjoyed: working with his hands, fixing things, science, and engineering, helping others basketball, when no one is comparing me to Dad, designing things. He stared at the list. For the first time, he was thinking about what he wanted, not what everyone else wanted for him. His phone buzzed with a text from Mia. "Did you enter the STEM fair yet? Deadline is tonight." Jaden hadn't decided. Part of him was excited about entering his radio project, but another part was nervous about putting himself out there in a new way. His mom knocked on his door. "Can I come in?" "Sure," Jaden said, closing his journal. "I talked to Coach Miller today," she said, sitting on the edge of his bed. "He told me about your trip to the library instead of practice." "Am I in trouble?" Jaden asked. She shook her head. "No, I think it was exactly what you needed." She picked up the Finding Your Purpose book from his desk. "Have you figured it out yet?" "Your purpose?" "Not exactly," Jaden said, "but I'm starting to get some ideas." He told her about fixing the radio, about helping at the community center, about Dion and his dollar store shoes. As he talked, the pieces began to fit together in his mind, like parts of a machine clicking into place. "I think I know what I want to do," he said slowly. "About the viral video, I mean. I want to respond, but not the way people might expect." "What are you thinking?" his mom asked. "I'm not sure yet," Jaden said, "but it's time to show people who I really am, not who they think I should be." He picked up his phone and texted Tyrell. "Need your help with something important. Can you come over tomorrow?" Then he texted Mia. "Entering the STEM fair. Can you help me with the application?" Finally, he sent a message to Coach Wilson. "Is it okay if I bring Dion some basketball shoes? And can I volunteer again next weekend?" As he pressed send on the last message, Jaden felt a strange sense of peace. For days, he'd been wrestling with the question of who he was supposed to be. Now he was finally ready to show the world who he actually was. Not just Michael Jordan's son, but Jaden Jordan, someone with his own talents, his own passions, and his own way of making a difference. Sunday morning, Tyrell arrived at Jaden's house with his backpack full of camera equipment. His older sister was a film student at Columbia, College Chicago, and she had let him borrow her gear. "So what exactly are we doing?" Tyrell asked as they set up in Jaden's room. "Making a video," Jaden said. "A response to that viral post." "Like, you showing your basketball skills?" Tyrell asked, pulling out a small camera. Jaden shook his head. "Not exactly. I'm going to show them who I really am." He explained his idea. Instead of trying to prove his basketball worth, he would showcase the things he was actually passionate about. The things that made him Jaden, not just Michael Jordan's son. "I like it," Tyrell said, nodding. "It's like, hey world, there's more to me than basketball." "Exactly," Jaden said, "but I need your help to film it." They spent an hour planning the video, making a list of what to film and what Jaden wanted to say. Then Jaden's mom drove them to the community center, where Coach Wilson had arranged for Dion to meet them. "You're making a movie?" Dion asked when they explained what they were doing. "Kind of," Jaden said. "It's about finding your own path, even when people expect you to follow someone else's." Dion's eyes lit up. "Can I help?" "Actually," Jaden said, "you're one of the stars." They filmed Jaden and Dion playing basketball just for fun. No pressure, no expectations. Just the joy of the game. They captured Dion's face when Jaden gave him a brand new pair of basketball shoes that his mom had helped him pick out. "For real?" Dion asked, holding the shoes like they were made of gold. "I can keep these?" "They're all yours," Jaden said, smiling at the boy's excitement. Next, they went to Jaden's grandfather's workshop, where Tyrell filmed Jaden working on the radio and explaining how he had fixed it. They captured close-up shots of his hands working with the tools, careful and confident. "My grandfather taught me that careful hands make careful work," Jaden explained to the camera. "I feel closest to him when I'm in here, fixing things." At Intern, his room, Jaden showed the sketches he had been working on. Designs for basketball shoes that would be more affordable but still good quality. "I got the idea from Dion," he told Tyrell as they filmed. "Kids should be able to have decent shoes without having to spend hundreds of dollars." By late afternoon, they had gathered hours of footage. Mia came over to help them edit, bringing her laptop with video editing software. "This is really good," she said, as they reviewed the clips. "It's authentic. It's you." As they worked on the video, Jaden drafted what he wanted to say directly to the camera. He wrote and rewrote, trying to find the right words to express how he felt without sounding angry or defensive. "Can I read it?" Tyrell asked when Jaden had finally finished. Jaden handed him the paper. Tyrell read it silently, then looked up with a grin. "This is perfect," he said. "It's honest, but not whiny. It's going to make people think." They set up the camera in Jaden's room for his direct address to the viewers. Jaden put on a simple blue t-shirt. Not a Jordan brand item, just a regular shirt. "Ready?" Tyrell asked from behind the camera. Jaden took a deep breath and nodded. "Ready? 3, 2, 1, Tyrell counted down, then pointed at Jaden. "Yes, I'm Michael Jordan's son," Jaden began, looking directly into the camera. "No, I'm not my father, and that's okay." He spoke for 5 minutes, his voice growing stronger as he continued. He talked about the pressure of living up to an impossible standard. He explained how it felt to see himself mocked online by strangers who knew nothing about him. He shared his love for basketball, but also for engineering, for fixing things, for helping others. "I'm not trying to fill my dad's shoes," he said toward the end. "I'm making my own. And I invite anyone who's ever felt the pressure of living in someone else's shadow to share their story too. Because we all deserve the chance to be ourselves." When he finished, the room was quiet. Tyrell lowered the camera. "That was amazing," he said softly. Mia, who had been watching from Jaden's desk, wiped a tear from her eye. "You're going to help a lot of people with this," she said. They spent the next few hours editing the video together, combining Jaden's direct address with the footage they had shot earlier. Jaden's siblings had sent video messages of support to include as well. Even Coach Miller had recorded a brief statement about finding your own path. It was nearly midnight when they finished. The final video, titled More Than a Name, was just under 10 minutes long. Jaden watched it one last time before they uploaded it, seeing himself through new eyes. "Are you sure about this?" his mom asked as she came in to check on them. "Once it's out there, you can't take it back." Jaden nodded. "I'm sure. It's time for people to see the real me." With his mom, Terrell, and Mia watching, Jaden clicked the upload button. The video began processing, and a progress bar appeared on the screen. "How long should we wait before checking for responses?" Tyrell asked. "Let's give it until morning," Jaden said. "I don't think I can handle watching the reactions come in real time." After Tyrell and Mia left, Jaden couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the video, wondering how people would respond. Would they mock him again? Would they understand what he was trying to say? Would anyone even care? His phone buzzed with a text just as he was finally drifting off. It was from Dion. "Thank you for the shoes. You're cool no matter what anybody says." Jaden smiled in the darkness of his room. Even if no one else understood his message, at least one person did. And maybe that was enough. As he finally fell asleep, Jaden felt lighter than he had in weeks. The weight of trying to be someone he wasn't had been lifted from his shoulders. Whatever happened next, he had spoken his truth. In the morning, Jaden woke to a steady stream of buzzing from his phone. Notifications were pouring in from every social media platform. Heart pounding, he reached for his phone, then stopped. He wasn't ready to see the responses yet, whether good or bad. Instead, he got dressed and went downstairs for breakfast. His mom was already at the kitchen island, drinking coffee and looking at her tablet. "Morning," he said, trying to sound casual. She looked up, her expression unreadable. "Your video," she said slowly, "has gone viral." Jaden's stomach tightened. Bad viral or good viral? She turned the tablet around to show him, a smile spreading across her face. "See for yourself." Jaden took the tablet with shaking hands. The screen showed his video with over 500,000 views already, and it had only been up for 8 hours. The comments section was flooded with responses. Unlike the cruel comments on the mockery video, these were overwhelmingly positive. "This kid has more maturity than most adults I know. Finding your own path is the hardest thing to do. Respect. I'm the daughter of a famous musician, and this made me cry. Thank you for putting into words what I've felt my whole life." Jaden scrolled through comment after comment, his eyes growing wider. People weren't mocking him. They were thanking him. "I don't understand," he said finally, looking up at his mom. "Why are they being so nice?" She smiled gently. "Because you were honest, honey. You showed them the real you, not what they expected to see. That takes courage." His phone buzzed with a text from Tyrell. "Dude, check your video." Before Jaden could reply, another text came in. This one from Mia. "You're trending on TikTok and Twitter. People love you." As Jaden ate breakfast, more notifications poured in. His siblings called one after another, amazed by the response. Jasmine reported that the Jordan brand office was buzzing about it. Jeffrey said his business colleagues were sharing it in their group chats. Marcus said people were coming into trophy room talking about Michael Jordan's son's amazing video. "Have you heard from Dad?" Jaden asked his mom after his third sibling call. She shook her head. "He's in meetings all day, but I'm sure he'll call as soon as he sees it." Jaden wasn't so sure. His dad was famously competitive. Would he understand what Jaden was trying to say? Or would he see it as rejection? By the time Jaden arrived at school, the video had over 1 million views. Everyone wanted to talk to him. Even Marcus Lee and his friends approached him in the hallway. That was pretty cool what you did, Marcus said awkwardly. Sorry about, before. Jaden nodded, accepting the half apology. Thanks. Ms. Reynolds stopped him after English class. I watched your video this morning, she said. It was brave and honest. I'm proud of you for finding your voice. Thanks, Jaden said. Your story about your mom helped a lot. At lunch, Jaden could barely eat with so many kids coming up to his table to talk about the video. Some shared their own stories about living in someone's shadow, the star athlete's younger sibling, the genius older sister's brother, the beauty pageant winner's plain Jane cousin. I never realized how many people feel this way, Jaden told Tyrell and Mia as they finally got a moment to themselves. That's why it's going viral, Mia said. You tapped into something real. By the end of the school day, several news outlets had requested interviews. Jaden's mom texted that she was handling the requests and he didn't need to worry about responding to any of them. Coach Miller caught him before basketball practice. Quite a statement you made, he said. Are you mad? Jaden asked, suddenly worried. I mean, about what I said about basketball? Coach shook his head. Mad? No. Proud. Absolutely. You're finding your path, Jordan. That's what matters. Practice felt different. The pressure was gone. Jaden played for fun, the way he had when he was younger. He made some shots and missed others, but it didn't seem to matter as much anymore. After practice, Jaden checked his phone again. The video had reached 3 million views, but what caught his eye was an email notification from an address he didn't recognize. The subject line read, "Your video made me want to play again." Curious, Jaden opened it. Dear Jaden, I'm 10 years old, and I wanted to quit basketball because I'm not good like the other kids. Your video made me want to play again, just for fun. Thank you for showing me it's okay not to be the best. Tommy, Jaden read the email 3 times, a lump forming in his throat. This was why he had made the video. Not for the views or comments, but for kids like Tommy who needed to hear that it was okay to be themselves. He printed the email and pinned it to his bulletin board as soon as he got home. That evening, his phone rang with his dad's ringtone. Jaden took a deep breath before answering. Hey, Dad. Jaden. His father's voice was serious, giving nothing away. I saw your video. Jaden waited, his heart pounding. I'm proud of you, son. The tension drained from Jaden's body. You are. Very proud. It takes guts to be that honest, especially when the whole world is watching. You showed real courage. I was afraid you might think I was rejecting basketball, Jaden admitted. Or rejecting you. No, Michael said firmly. You're finding your own way. That's what I've always wanted for all my kids. They talked for nearly an hour, one of the longest conversations they'd ever had. His dad shared more stories about his own struggles with fame and expectations. They talked about Jaden's interest in engineering and his ideas for affordable basketball shoes. Keep following what makes you. You excited? Michael said before hanging up. That's where you'll find your greatness. The next morning, Jaden's mom knocked on his door early. You might want to come downstairs, she said. There's something you should see. In the kitchen, she handed him her tablet again. This time, it showed a social media post from LeBron James, sharing Jaden's video with the caption, This young man speaks truth. Finding your own path is the greatest victory. Respect to Jaden Jordan for his courage and wisdom beyond his years. More than a name, other NBA stars had shared it too. Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, even some of his dad's former teammates. Sports commentators were discussing it on morning shows. It had become more than just a viral video. It was starting a conversation. But what meant the most to Jaden was the growing folder of emails in his inbox from kids and teenagers around the world, sharing their own stories of pressure and expectations, thanking him for giving them permission to be themselves. For the first time in his life, Jaden felt like he had made an impact not because of his last name, but because of who he was. The following week was unlike anything Jaden had ever experienced. News outlets wanted interviews. Social media influencers reached out for collaborations. Even his school principal called a special assembly to talk about cyberbullying, using Jaden's experience as an example. Through it all, Jaden tried to stay grounded. He kept going to his classes, to basketball practice, and to the community center to help Dion and the other kids. His mom fielded most of the interview requests, allowing only a few that seemed genuine, rather than just trying to capitalize on a trending story. "This one seems different," she said on Wednesday afternoon, showing him an email from a national morning show. "They want to talk about the pressure kids face today, not just about you being Michael Jordan's son." Jaden considered it. "Okay, but can Dion come too? His perspective matters." His mom smiled. "I'll see what I can arrange." On Thursday, Jaden and Dion appeared on Good Morning America via video call from Jaden's living room. Dion was nervous at first, but relaxed when the host asked him about basketball. "I just play 'cause it's fun," Dion said with a shrug. "Jaden taught me it doesn't have to be about being the best. It can just be about loving the game." The host seemed touched by Dion's simple wisdom. "And what about you, Jaden? How has your life changed since your video went viral?" Jaden thought for a moment. "It's shown me I'm not alone. So many kids feel pressure to be someone they're not, whether they have famous parents or not. We're all trying to figure out who we are." Later that day, Jaden received a surprising email. It was from the Jordan brand marketing team asking if he would be interested in discussing some of his shoe design ideas. "Are they serious?" he asked his mom, showing her the email. "Let me check with your father," she said. This might be his doing, but it wasn't. Michael was just as surprised when she called him. "The team did this on their own," he told Jaden later. "They were impressed with what you said in your video about affordable quality shoes. They think you might be onto something." Jaden was stunned. His sketches had just been ideas, dreams he'd drawn in his notebook. He never imagined they might become real. The next morning, Jaden woke to find his email inbox overflowing. But one message stood out among the rest. It was from a boy named Alex Chen, whose mother was a famous concert pianist. "My mom has won 3 Grammy Awards," Alex wrote. "Everyone expects me to be a musical genius too, but I'm terrible at piano. What I really love is science. Your video gave me the courage to tell her I don't want to continue with piano lessons. We had our first honest conversation in years. Thank you." Attached to the email was a photo of Alex with his mother, both smiling, with a small chemistry set on the table between them. Jaden printed this email too, adding it to the growing collection on his bulletin board. Each one represented someone who had found the courage to be themselves because of his video. At school, kids were still talking about the video, but in a different way now. Instead of focusing on Jaden being Michael Jordan's son, they were talking about their own experiences with pressure and expectations. "My dad wanted me to try out for the baseball team because he played in college," said Derek from Jaden's math class. "I finally told him I'd rather join the robotics club. He was disappointed at first, but he's coming around." Mia smiled at Jaden across the lunch table. "You've started something bigger than yourself," she said. "People are actually talking about this stuff now instead of just suffering in silence." After school, Jaden headed to the community center with Tyrell. Coach Wilson had asked for their help organizing a special basketball clinic for younger kids. When they arrived, Jaden was surprised to see several NBA players shooting hoops with the children. Dion was there too, wearing the shoes Jaden had given him, a huge smile on his face. "What's going on?" Jaden asked Coach Wilson. "Your video caught some attention," Coach said with a grin. "These guys reached out, wanting to support what you're doing. They're donating equipment to the center and setting up a scholarship fund for kids like Dion." One of the players, a Chicago Bulls point guard, walked over to Jaden with his hand extended. "That was a brave thing you did," he said. "Not many people would have the guts to be that honest." "I just wanted to be myself," Jaden said, shaking the player's hand. "Sometimes that's the hardest thing to do," the player replied. "Especially when people expect you to be someone else." As Jaden watched the NBA stars play with the community center kids, he felt a strange mix of emotions. He had never intended for any of this to happen. He had just wanted to respond to a hurtful video, to stand up for himself. Now, his words were changing lives, including his own. His phone buzzed with a text from his dad. "Just heard about the NBA players at the community center. Proud of what you've started. I have an idea to discuss with you. Call me tonight." Curious, Jaden called his father as soon as he got home. "The Jordan brand team is serious about your shoe ideas," Michael said. "They want to meet with you next week in Chicago. I think you might be onto something important, especially after seeing how those kids at the center responded to your story." "Really?" Jaden could hardly believe what he was hearing. "Really?" Michael confirmed. "Your video made me think about our brand differently. It's not just about elite performance. It's about helping every kid find joy in sports, whatever their level." After hanging up, Jaden sat at his desk, staring at the shoe sketches he'd been working on for months. They were rough designs for basketball shoes that would be affordable but still good quality. He had named them Own Path shoes, inspired by what his family and Coach Miller had taught him. Could these actually become real? It seemed impossible. Yet, after everything that had happened in the last week, Jaden was starting to believe that anything was possible. He turned to his bulletin board, now covered with printed emails from kids around the world. Each one was a reminder that his words had made a difference. That by being honest about his own struggles, he had helped others face theirs. Whatever happened with the shoes, with basketball, with school, Jaden knew one thing for certain. He had found his voice, and people were listening. The following Saturday, Jaden woke early. Today was the meeting with the Jordan brand team. His dad had flown in from Charlotte the night before, and they would go together. But first, Jaden had somewhere else to be. His grandfather's workshop was peaceful in the early morning light. Over the past weeks, between schoolwork, basketball practice, and the whirlwind of attention from his video, Jaden had been coming here to work on a special project. It had started with fixing the radio, but it had evolved into something much more meaningful. The workbench was covered with sketches, materials, and tools. In the center sat a pair of basketball shoes, unlike any Jaden had seen before. They weren't flashy or covered in special technology. They were simple, sturdy, and designed with one purpose in mind: to make quality basketball shoes accessible to kids like Dion. Jaden had been learning everything he could about shoe design. He'd studied his father's Air Jordans, examining the materials and construction. He'd researched manufacturing costs. He'd even taken apart some of his old shoes to understand how they were made. These prototype shoes, which he called Own Path, used simpler materials but maintained the important support features that prevented injuries. Without the fancy frills and marketing costs, Jaden believed they could be sold for a fraction of the price of premium basketball shoes. "This is it," he said to himself, carefully putting the shoes in a shoebox he had decorated with the Own Path logo he had designed. No turning back now. At breakfast, his dad studied him across the table. "Nervous about the meeting?" "A little," Jaden admitted. "Don't be," Michael said. "Just speak from the heart, like you did in your video. These people know shoes. They'll recognize a good idea when they see it." "Even if it's from a 14-year-old kid?" Michael grinned. "Especially from a 14-year-old kid. You know what kids want better than a room full of adults." Mr. Reynolds drove them downtown to the Jordan brand offices in Chicago. Jaden had been here before on special occasions, but today felt different. Today he wasn't just Michael Jordan's son visiting his dad's company. He was Jaden Jordan, bringing his own ideas to the table. In the elevator, Michael put a hand on Jaden's shoulder. "Whatever happens in there, I'm proud of you. Remember that." The conference room was filled with executives in business attire. Jaden recognized some of them from company events. They all stood when Michael entered, but their eyes were on the shoebox Jaden was carrying. "Everyone, this is my son Jaden," Michael said, though of course they all knew who he was. "He has some ideas I think you'll want to hear." Jaden took a deep breath and placed the shoebox on the table. "Thank you for meeting with me," he said, surprised by how steady his voice sounded. "I want to talk about making basketball more accessible to all kids." For the next 20 minutes, Jaden presented his idea. He showed them his prototype shoes and explained the design choices he had made to keep costs down while maintaining quality. He talked about Dion and the other kids at the community center who loved basketball but couldn't afford expensive shoes. "Basketball changed my dad's life," Jaden said, looking around the room. "It should be accessible to every kid who loves the game, not just those who can afford premium equipment." When he finished, there was a moment of silence. Then the marketing director, Ms. Taylor, said, "Jaden, these are impressive. You've clearly put a lot of thought into this." "The cost projections need work," said Mr. Rivera, the finance director, "but the concept is solid." "The design is clean," added Mr. Washington, the creative director. "It doesn't try to be flashy. It's honest, just like your video." They discussed manufacturing possibilities, pricing strategies, and potential challenges. Jaden was surprised by how seriously they took his ideas, asking questions and making notes. "What would you call this line?" Ms. Taylor asked. "Own Path," Jaden said without hesitation, "because everyone deserves the chance to find their own way." The executives exchanged glances. His dad remained quiet, letting Jaden take the lead. "We'd need to develop this further," Mr. Rivera said. "Run some tests, refine the design. But I think there's something here worth exploring." "I agree," said Ms. Taylor. "The timing is perfect too. Jaden's video has people talking about exactly these issues: pressure, expectations, accessibility. This could be more than just a product. It could be a movement." Jaden could hardly believe what he was hearing. They were actually considering his idea. His father still hadn't said anything, and Jaden couldn't read his expression. Finally, Michael spoke. "What if we took this a step further?" he asked the team. "What if Own Path became a new initiative within the Jordan brand? Not just shoes, but a commitment to making sports accessible to all kids?" The room buzzed with energy as the executives built on the idea. They talked about basketball courts in underserved neighborhoods, equipment donations, mentorship programs, all under the Own Path umbrella. As they talked, Jaden's mind was spinning. This was so much bigger than his original idea. This could help kids everywhere, not just those he knew personally. "There's one more thing," Jaden said, when there was a break in the conversation. I want the profits from the Own Path shoes to go toward building and maintaining basketball courts in neighborhoods that need them." The executives looked at Michael, who nodded. My son's idea, my son's terms," he said simply. After the meeting, as they rode the elevator down to the lobby, Jaden finally asked the question that had been on his mind. "Dad, what do you really think about all this?" Michael looked at his son with newfound respect. "I think you've taught me something important about legacy. It's not about following in someone's footsteps. It's about creating your own path." The following Saturday, Jaden found himself in a different downtown Chicago building. This time, it was for a press conference announcing the new Own Path initiative from the Jordan brand. Backstage, he peeked through the curtains at the room full of reporters, cameras, and familiar faces. His siblings were there in the front row. So were Tyrell, Mia, Coach Miller, and Coach Wilson. Even Dion was there, sitting between Jaden's mom and Ms. Reynolds from school. "Nervous?" his dad asked, straightening his tie. "A little," Jaden admitted. "There are so many people." "Just be yourself," Michael said. "That's what got you here in the first place." When they walked onto the stage together, camera flashes lit up the room. Michael stepped to the microphone first. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice filling the room, "my son Jaden has taught me something important about legacy. It's not about following in someone's footsteps, it's about creating your own path." He went on to explain the new Own Path initiative, describing how it would make quality sports equipment accessible to all kids and fund community basketball courts in underserved neighborhoods. "And the first product will be based on my son's design," Michael said, gesturing to the display where Jaden's shoes sat on a pedestal. "With profits going to building courts where kids can play, learn, and grow through sport, regardless of their economic situation." When it was Jaden's turn to speak, he was surprised by his own calmness. Just months ago, he had been hiding from cameras, terrified of being compared to his famous father. Now, he stood before dozens of them, speaking from the heart about his vision. "Basketball should be for everyone," he said. "Not just for those who might become professionals someday, but for anyone who finds joy in the game." After the formal presentation, a reporter raised her hand. "Jaden, how does it feel to be Michael Jordan's son now?" It was the same question that had haunted him for years, the one that had always made him feel inadequate. But now, standing beside his father with his own creation on display, the question felt different. Jaden smiled. "I'm proud of my father's legacy," he said. "But today, I think he's proud of mine too." Michael put his arm around his son's shoulders and nodded, his eyes shining with tears that the world rarely saw from the famously competitive legend. The greatest victory, he realized, wasn't on any basketball court. It was watching his son find the courage to become himself. The shoes Jaden designed sat on display, not trying to be the next Air Jordans, but something completely new. And on the side, a small inscription read, "Find your own way." Afterward, as people crowded around to congratulate them, Dion pushed through to Jaden. "Does this mean I get to test the new shoes?" he asked with a grin. "You'll be the first," Jaden promised. That evening, as the Jordan family celebrated at home, Jaden slipped away to his grandfather's workshop. He sat at the workbench, looking at the old radio that had started it all. He turned it on, and music filled the space, clear and strong, just like his voice had become. On the workbench lay his journal, open to a new page. Jaden picked up a pencil and wrote, "Dear Journal, today I learned that the greatest path isn't the one that's already been walked. It's the one you make by taking that first brave step forward. My name is Jaden Jordan. and this is just the beginning of my story. Where are you listening from today? I'd love to know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story about finding your authentic self, despite pressure and expectations, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring content. Like this? Don't forget to share with friends and family who might need to hear this message. Together, we can spread kindness and awareness about the importance of allowing everyone, especially young people, to find their own way. Thank you for listening, and I'll be back next week with another story that touches the heart and lifts the spirit.